Welcome to Speak as One. I'm Julie Correa. Today we have with us Davion Sykes. Hi, Davion.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We are here at Texas State University because you play basketball for Texas State. Yeah, and you're a freshman?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'd love to know, Davion, just a little bit, where you were raised and maybe a little bit about your family and what got you to Texas State.
So I was born in McAllen, Texas, and then I had moved up to Dallas probably when I was like in third grade.
Okay.
So that was like a big move for me because I was, my whole family was in McAllen.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. So that was a really big move coming from, McAllen to Texas to Dallas because I didn't know, too many people. I just had my grandparents up there in Dallas. So, raised in Dallas, it was actually pretty cool. The sports was really heavy in Dallas. It's really, really heavy in Dallas.
I've noticed that because I have a son that plays here, plays in Austin, and when we go to Dallas, it is completely different. It's a whole different ball game, like literally.
It's totally crazy. Like everybody there is all about sports.
Was your dad or your mom, were they athletes?
Yes, they were. My mom had played volleyball, soccer, softball, and a couple other sports, and my dad played basketball.
Okay, yeah. So did you start off playing basketball at a young age?
I probably started playing basketball. I was able to play basketball when I was 3. The grade level, like you had to start when you were 4, but I was bigger than everybody at the time, so they let me play.
So you were already tall from like a very young age?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because when you walked in earlier, I was like, whoa, he is tall. I think I told you, I thought you were a junior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. So y'all moved, and that was, you remember that at 3, like what that life transition was like. But then you were able to settle in, and did you start playing basketball immediately and when you moved to Dallas?
Yes, man. My parents had found a league for me. They had put me in a league. It was actually a really competitive league. So, me and my team, we ended up, like, from that league, we became, like, a traveling team. So, we became, like, real competitive at an early age. And then I had middle school and high school, just growing up playing basketball.
Yeah. Do you do anything else? You have any other hobbies?
Not really. I just go to school, probably come home, go to sleep. I like to get on the game, but sometimes I get bored.
Yeah.
So I usually just go to sleep. But I do watch YouTube a lot, so that's like my thing.
Do you watch basketball on YouTube, or are there other things you like to watch?
I watch a little bit of basketball, but I watch more of like people just playing video games or just like streamers, just entertainment.
It's a nice way to like kind of just detach and peace out. Yeah.
A little mental break.
Well, from what I read, it seems like you make really good grades. Do you care about your studies?
Yes, ma'am. I do, because my mom had told me that nobody could take away your education, no matter what the circumstances is. So they've always been high on me about high grades and not having low grades. So I've always taken school serious.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. When we're here, we talk about mental health on Speak as One. When you were growing up, did you ever hear about mental health, or did you have friends that struggled with mental health? Is it something that was ever talked about in your home?
I probably didn't start hearing about mental health, like really understanding it until high school. I probably heard about it, growing up, middle school, but I just didn't really fully understand it until high school or like understand what it really was.
Okay, yeah. Did you have friends and I guess even in sports, that's one of the things that it's hard for some people to understand, including myself. Like I remember when I was young and I would look at athletes, and I love gymnastics. So I would look at like Mary Lou Retton or just all these other gymnasts, and I would think they don't have mental health problems, because when I was little, I had, and up until I was grown, I had anxiety and depression and things. And now we're starting to understand that that's not the case. Athletes actually do struggle with mental health, and it doesn't matter like how in shape you are, or, what sport you're playing, or even how much money you have. We all have emotions. And so I'm just curious, just like as a basketball player and being in this sport, like how do you see that? How did you see it in high school, and is it kind of the same now?
So probably first hand experience just due to injuries, just struggling off the court. And then my freshman year, one of my friends had got hurt. That's probably where I really got introduced to, the whole mental health, because they were really down and we were just freshmen coming into high school, and he was supposed to be on varsity and he had ended up getting hurt. So like I saw him kind of, going down and struggling a little bit mentally, and it's just hard, watching somebody go through that. And then my sophomore and junior year, I got hurt. So like me knowing that my friend had got hurt, and then how he was able to overcome that kind of, gave me the confidence to, overcome my injuries. So just watching other people experience it, and then you going through your own experience, it really, sets a tone for, what mental health is.
Yeah. What did you, when your friend got injured, did you see anything specific in him that like made you worry, or as a friend, like how were you able to understand and be there for him?
I really wouldn't say anything that made me worry. It was just more of, you could tell that they're not really them at the time. Probably just more quiet, more a little bit distant, just to themselves. And then that's really,
Yeah.
that was it.
And so what was your injury?
So my sophomore year, I had fractured my tibia on my left leg. And then my junior year, I had fractured my fibula on my left leg as well.
Oof. So then were you out both seasons?
I was out. So I had got hurt early in both seasons.
Okay.
So I was able to come back like halfway through the season.
Oh, nice.
Still play.
Oh, that's good.
This month.
What did you feel yourself having feelings of sadness or anxiety, or were you able to talk about it with others, or because you saw your friend, you kind of knew like this is just going to be a temporary thing, and then I'll be able to, transition and I'll be back on the court?
Definitely when it first happened, I was real distant. But like as I got through the healing process of my injury, mentally I did heal, because I was like, all right, I do need to stop, just laying here and not doing anything. I do need to get up, talk to more people, be social, and not just like go to class, sit down, just be hurt. And so I was able to, just to be more social while I was hurt.
Yeah, that's so important. That is a great point, because I feel like sometimes when people are injured or when they're going through things and they're feeling some sadness or whatever, they can start shutting down and not talking about people, not talking to people. But it's actually really good to just keep yourself out there and be social, because people want to support you.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So then you played for Duncanville, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That seems like a pretty competitive team, for what I know.
Yes, ma'am. Very competitive.
Yeah. And can you tell me just a little bit more about that experience of being an athlete in that capacity, with that type of level of competition?
So my freshman year at Duncanville was a super hard year for me, because it was my first year in high school, and it was my coach's first year there. So he wanted to make a point, to everybody that he was there to win a state championship. Practice was super, super hard. Like, you couldn't even imagine. And so definitely there was times where, I wanted to quit, where my whole team wanted to quit. Everybody was, ready to go, because there was just so much running, so much defense, so much offense. Like, it was just chaos. Just probably like the whole fall, we call it like fall league. So like the whole fall league was just crazy. And just being able to go through that and then go through an easy season, because, we had a struggle at the beginning of the season, but being able to, pick it back up and start getting some wins, seeing all that work at first and then starting to overcome it's a great feeling.
Yeah. You see the work was worth it. Yeah. I see that as I've been like trying to build this business, and I actually look at my son and their teams and what he's been on, and as an athlete, and that work that you have to put in, and then and losing, and then sometimes losing more than you like. And so I've been thinking about that as I built this business as a basketball game. I actually do. I think about that. I go and I watch Liam and I'm like, I just gotta, there's times I'm losing and I feel like I'm not winning right now and this doesn't feel good, but you just keep going. And then, like you said, you have those times when you're like, but it's just, I see, I just admire that type of work ethic. And, there's so many times when I think people don't even fully comprehend like what you have to do to be that level of where you are now. Yeah. And the sacrifices you have to make.
There's a lot. There is definitely a lot of sacrifices have to be made, even with like your family, like your parents. So my parents definitely have to make sacrifices for me just to be able to get through high school, or to get to where I am today. So, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
The sacrifices do have to be made.
Yeah, absolutely. But it seems like it's worth it if you love it.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh. So then you finished out Duncanville and had a very successful career there. And then, when it comes to college, you had different options. Can you tell me about the process of what that looks like? Because I'm sure that has to weigh on you a lot of where you're going to play and where you feel like the right fit is. And mentally, how do you, prepare for something like that?
So my college process, I started off going into my senior year. Like at the end of my junior year, I was getting contacted by, D3 schools, NAIAs, and I wasn't really too happy because I knew like I could do better. Mm-hmm. And I just knew the work I was putting in, but it obviously wasn't showing yet. Mm-hmm. So I was ready for my AAU season, my last AAU season to, go out there and, showcase my talent. And just being contacted by multiple NAIA schools, I was kind of down on myself until I received my first offer by UTA. It was my first D1 offer, which kind of, boosted my confidence a little bit. And so, just after I got that offer, I felt good about myself, and I knew that I could go out here and, start getting some more offers. So I was just the whole AAU season, just going out there, playing to get to a school, I hopefully like. And I started to get contacted by a whole bunch of mid majors, a couple of high majors, and ridiculous amounts of schools I didn't even know that would contact me. So it was a good experience just knowing that people were out there looking at me and wanting me. So, I mean, but also it was kind of stressful. Could just like at the end of it, choosing a school I really wanted to go to, because it's a school that at the end of the day fits me and where I would go. So, and then I chose here because, I trusted the coaches. They seemed very genuine. They seemed like they trusted me. I like the players, the group of guys that were there last year, which are the same guys this year. And, that came down to my ultimate choice, which was here.
Yeah, the reason we got connected is because of Coach Dante, and our sons were playing on the same team together for a little bit, and he told me how they wanted to start, really creating a culture where they care about, more than just, the certain things you have to care about as a coach, right? I'm sure there's like a checklist of these are all the things that we need these players to do, and this is what we need to accomplish. But he's like, we also want to take care of their mental health and know that, there is life beyond basketball when they leave here, and are we setting them up for success? And so I just really admired hearing that, and I thought, what a great way to, be with and protect these boys and young men, I should say. I'm sorry, and to help and not only grow their basketball career, but your mental career, because life is a mental game, and I don't know about you, but it's like when I feel like I'm mentally strong, it's like, oh, I can go and accomplish anything. And when there's times when I'm not mentally strong, it feels like a struggle, and that's why, it's been important for us to talk about it here at Speak as One, is that, it is, your mental health is like your physical health. We just got to work it out. So whenever you got here to Texas State, I'm sure it was a huge transition for you. What was that? What was that like? Can you tell us your first few weeks? Were you nervous? Were you, being with this team and playing for college, Texas State? I mean, you had already been so competitive, and Duncanville, was it a difference here?
There definitely is a difference between like the level of focus between college and high school. I feel like it's a lot more detailed in college. And coming out here, I was nervous. I really was just nervous by the fact that I'm by myself and I really don't have my parents, to talk to. I know I could call them, but it's a difference between calling them and then talking to them, at the house in a, safe space. But here I'm with 20 other kids on the same team, and, we really don't have like that safe space, but, probably where we live. And so, just being out here by myself was very nerve-wracking. And then, going to the whole practice and in summer, it was very stressful because I definitely called my parents every day.
Oh.
Yeah. So I called them every day, asking them, what I need to do. And they just told me just keep going, just you'll figure it out. And they definitely helped me through that process. So as the days went on and the weeks went by, and I definitely, that level of nervous just turned into confidence, being out here by myself.
Yeah, because we can, get through those hard times, and everybody has them, and it's just keep going and having those people that you can talk to. Like, you had your parents, and that's great because you knew that you could call them every day and they would be there. And I think that's so good for other people to hear, is just like, who do you have that you can call whenever life is feeling a little challenging? Yeah, yeah. It seems to be that college athletes now, I don't know, when I was growing up, I don't think grades were as important. Like, athletes could get by, and if they were making like poor grades, it didn't matter because they were athletes. Now it seems like that's changed, which I think is fantastic, because, like your parents would tell you, no one can take away your education.
Yes, ma'am.
So along with the pressures of being an athlete, the pressures of education, and now, they've added NIL. How are you able to handle that pressure? Because it seems to me that that's a lot. Are you 18?
Yes, ma'am.
For an 18-year-old.
It definitely is a lot outside looking in. And then, inside looking out, it definitely is a lot. So overall, it's a lot. But it's just, I feel like at some points when you get a break, you get to step back, take a look at, what's going on and assess the situation, and you're able to attack it. So, I feel like that's something I definitely do, especially with school, because it's not all rainbows. So, I definitely just look at my grades if I'm down or if I'm up. I look at the assignments I have for the whole week, and I plan it out a little bit just so I know, because like who I am as a person, and what I have to accomplish or what my goals are. It's just, I feel like what keeps me going is definitely my goals. So just knowing that, I feel like I have to be held to a higher standard, especially as a student athlete. I have to take care of my business, whether it's in the classroom or on the court.
So it's really important, like you set goals for yourself, and then you find ways to meet those goals.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that, you nailed it, like setting goals. And I think that when people start to get to a point when life does feel overwhelming, if you can kind of pinpoint those goals and ways to work up to them, it can give you hope. And sometimes whenever we have so many different things going on, you can start to feel hopeless because it seems overwhelming. But if you just break them down, is that what you do? You kind of like say, okay, this is school and this is and this is basketball, and these are the things I need to do to get where I need to be.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely, find that goal and then just see the steps that lead up to it. And then hopefully, taking step by step, I end up achieving my goal.
Yeah, that's great. I know that I've just been reading in the news that a lot of college athletes, they are struggling with mental health. I think maybe we're hearing it less from college athletes and more from actually the NBA and NFL players. But there have been some college athletes speaking out about it. What do you think it is? Do you think it's the pressure? Do you think that just, people are trying to sometimes find their way when they get to college? What do you think that is?
There's definitely a lot of factors that pull into, the whole mental health thing. Just being by yourself, you don't really, and you may not have somebody, to comfort you. The pressure to do good, everybody wants to do good. Nobody just, goes day by day wanting to do bad.
Yeah.
So, having that little pressure to, do good, to even succeed at college, within, school, or especially on the court, everybody wants to succeed. And, you may not be getting as many minutes as you want to. You may not be hitting as many shots as you want to. So all those like little things do play in a factor to like everybody's self within, just thinking if they're good enough to be here or be on the team. And I know for me, there's been a couple times, especially in summer, where I just had a bad practice. I'm just like, oh no, I don't think I'm gonna be able to play this year. Or, coach may not like me right now, so I don't think he's gonna put me in. And, it's just practice, just keep doing it. And at a certain point, you'll end up getting over that factor of, being down on yourself. And that's really about it.
Yeah, so it's like even during those times when you feel like you may not be getting the minutes and scoring as much as you normally do, it's just showing up, just keep showing up every day. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. How do you feel like, people can support you and college athletes? How can we be more understanding or more empathetic and support you? Do y'all ever?
I'll probably just say check up on your athletes. Just give them a quick encouragement every here and there, or just talk to them. Doesn't even have to be on a deep level. Just, hey, how you doing? And just quick conversations. Because I know when I get texts, from not necessarily like the people I probably don't speak to in my life, but they text me talking about, hey, how you doing? Congratulations. Good game yesterday. It like lets me know that, they're still looking out for me even though I'm hours away from them. And that they still have me in the back of their mind. Like when my friends, they told me that they watched my game. Like that, it meant a lot to me to know that, my friends are still watching me even though, we're on different sides of the United States right now. So, it's definitely good to know, when you have support. And that definitely keeps you going as well, knowing you have that support. So just support your athletes.
Yeah, I love that. Just to check in, a simple check in and saying how you're doing. Yeah, that can go so far. And when people are having a bad day and they get that one text from somebody and it's just like, how are you doing? Yeah, it's exactly as you said. It's just like lets you know that people are thinking about you. Yeah. Well, when you hear about some of these college athletes and professionals, when you hear them talking about their mental health, and some of them have actually taken a break, when you see college and professionals now saying that they need to take a break for their mental health, do you think that is resourceful, and do you think that we've grown in a sense with like people talking about mental health when they're like, no, I actually can't play right now, I need to take a break? Do you see that benefiting them?
I definitely agree, with an athlete that takes a mental break, because it's not necessarily them being, mentally weak. It's just them literally needing to step back from what they love and just like to literally take a break, because sometimes what you love can become stressful. And, you know, because you're doing it every single day. And, you know, even the days you don't want to do it, you're still doing it because, you know, you love it. And so me seeing that, you know, there's athletes starting to speak about mental health, it makes me feel a little better because, you know, I've always worked out every day, you know, nonstop. I'm just working out every day. And then so now when I get a day off, maybe I'll, you know, won't work out and maybe I'll, you know, do something else productive in my life. So, you know, seeing those athletes be able to take a step back helps me as a college athlete be able to, you know, to see in my life where I could take a step back and, you know, be able to regenerate myself to keep going the next day.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's important too to hear them talking about it because it not only helps younger athletes or peers say, oh, you know what? Yeah, it's okay. You know, we're all going through something. But it also supports your fans, you know, because your fans say, oh, how they go through things too, just like me. And I think a lot of people look at, you know, athletes as almost like superheroes because of what you're doing is so incredibly, you know, challenging for the normal everyday person. Davion, thank you again for joining us. It's just been such a pleasure getting to know you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad to be here.
Great. We want to thank you for joining us here at Speak as One, and I'm so thrilled that we had Davion Sykes here with us. And if you want to hear more stories like Davion's, go to our YouTube channel at Speak as One, hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and we'll see you next time.